The Gone Me, a
Internal.
complete short film script by James Morgan.
Internal, hotel bedroom, night. Swimsuits dry on chairs, half-used sun lotion bottles, open suitcases. Jack Palmer, 10. Wet hair, pyjamas, watches the churning sea from the window, transfixed. Arguing offstage from the bathroom breaks his concentration. He jumps on the bed, turns the TV up, play fights with action figures. The argument builds, thud. Close on Jack. A man enters the frame. Pinstripe suit. We don't see his face. The man perches on the edge of the bed, holds his hand out. Jack ignores him, turns away. The man moves closer, sits next to Jack. More arguing, gasps, sobs, tears. We pull back. The man sat next to Jack has no head. A constant plume of smoke billows from his suit collar, lines the room's ceiling. The smoke drifts over to Jack. He breathes it in. His eyes go heavy. He yawns. Jack studies Smokehead, inquisitive. He tentatively shuffles closer, rests his head on Smokehead's arm, sleeps.
Exterior, sea, day. Beneath the water. Columns of sunlight, glistening ripples. A flurry of bubbles race upwards. Stillness. Another flurry of bubbles. We pull back, we're in shallow water. Jack squeezes his eyes shut, sputters out another breath, kicks the sand beneath his feet. Above the water, Jack's head bursts out, gasps for breath. He grips strongly onto a flotation ring, gathers his armbands. Further out to sea, parents and children snorkel, dive, play. A young girl runs into the sea from the beach, dives in, confident, swims past Jack. He clings tight to the flotation ring. Jack strains to see the beach. 2 empty sun loungers, a plume of smoke in the distance. Jack dunks his head back beneath the water.
Interior, car, day. Windbreaker, beach towels, pregnant with holiday gear. Jessica Palmer, 40, rubs concealer on her bruised neck. Jack runs his action figure across the window's edge, cartwheels it into a mid-air explosion. Michael Palmer, 40s, glowers at Jack in the rear-view mirror. He puts the toy down. The car turns a bend. In the distance by the sea, Smokehead stands. Jack turns, looks out the back window at Smokehead as the car drives away.
Interior living room, day. Pristine, orderly, a collector's house. Vases, bowls, statues. Jack grapples with an acoustic guitar twice his size. He picks at the strings, makes something close to music, smiles. A door opens offstage. Jack freezes, deadens the guitar strings. He edges across the room, cautiously places the guitar back on its wall bracket, checks no one saw him. He sits, picks up a book, straightens his drink on a coaster. Smokehead enters, sits next to Jack. A group of children run past the window, playing. Jack moves to look, but Smokehead holds his arm. Jack puts the book down, dissatisfied, turns on the TV. He stops on a music video, watches the bodies move, flex, twist. Defiant, Jack pulls his arm free from Smokehead, stands, mimics the moves from the TV. He loosens, twirls, makes himself dizzy, almost happy when, smash, a vase in pieces. He freezes, bows his head, breathless, tense. Dad runs in, shouts, screams. He picks what's left of the vase, throws it to one side. Mum follows, more arguing. Smokehead stands, puts his arm on Jack's shoulder, turns Jack's head away from his arguing parents. The music video plays on as...
Interior, nightclub, night. Bodies packed in clothes on the walls. Jack, now in his 20s, sits apart, drinks anything but alcohol, observes. He nods to the music, adjusts his hair, clothes, twitchy, self-aware. A girl forces a shot into his hand, cheers, and she downs it in one. Jack sips his. She drags him to the dance floor, joins the rest of his friends. She takes his hand, moves his hips. He loosens. Smack! A couple of men push through Jack's group of friends, bloody noses, punches flying. They're vicious, do anything they can to each other. The dance floor parts. Jack's friends are elated. They joke, laugh, jeer as the men go for each other. Jack freezes, wide-eyed, petrified. Smoke drifts across the dance floor, reflected in the strobe lights. Smokehead watches the fight. The men fall to the floor. One of them tries to strangle the other, hand fixed tight. At this, Jack closes his eyes, hyperventilates, puts his hand up to his own neck. Security rush through, barge Jack out of the way. They grab the bloodied men, wrestle them away. The dance floor fills again around a frozen Jack.
Interior nightclub bathroom. Night. Jack locks himself in a cubicle, sits, head in his hands. He breathes backwards from 10. A credit card falls under the partition next to Jack's feet. He stands on the toilet, peers over. A drunk man, Callum, Jack's age, slumped in the next cubicle. Jack leaves his stall, knocks on the next door. It's unlocked. The door drifts open. Jack peers in. Callum struggles to stand straight, his shirt open, sweat glistens on his chest. He tries to fix his hair, smiles, lolls his head from side to side. Jack wants to look away, but his eyes won't leave Callum. A security guard from before enters the bathroom, washes blood off his hands. Callum pulls Jack into his cubicle, locks the door, mimes shh. Callum brushes away the specks of white powder from the toilet seat, stumbles, their bodies close. They listen. A toilet flush, a running tap. Callum rests his head on Jack's chest, breathes heavily. They listen again. Hand dryer, muffled music through the closed door. The security guard's gone. Jack opens the lock, but Callum holds the door closed. A nervous beat. Callum leans in, kisses Jack. A bristle of electricity. Foreign, frightening, perfect. A hand dryer blows, shatters the moment. Callum pulls back, suddenly self-aware, covers himself. He pushes Jack outside. Smokehead waits by the sinks. The dryer blows his smoke through the air. Jack rushes through the smoke, out the door.
Exterior, bus stop, night. Smokehead waits at the bus stop. The street is alive. Girls totter in high heels, clutch their cold shoulders. Jack arrives, sits apart, dishevelled. Police sirens wail, smashed glass down the street. Jack, nervous, moves closer to Smokehead, sits by his side. Jack puts his hands on his knees, focuses. They're twitching. He forces them still, wills them to stop as...
Dining room day, a pair of hands linger on a computer keyboard, nails bitten, wedding ring. They type, stop, delete. On the screen, a blank page headed Chapter 4. Jack, now in his 30s, reads the stopwatch on the desk. 20 minutes in. He gets up, checks the house phone for a dial tone. A display reads, no new messages. He sits back down. He scrolls through photos of topless women, closes the internet window, refocuses. Smokehead enters, sits, peers over Jack's shoulder at the screen. Jack writes, that was the only time I ever truly saw her for what she was. He sits back, proud. Smokehead deletes the sentence. Jack retypes, you only truly see someone once. He looks to Smokehead for approval. Smokehead pauses the stopwatch, leads Jack to...
Interior, bedroom, day. Spotless, sterile. Photos of Jack and his wife. Action figures on display stands. Another phone in the bedroom. Jack checks it's plugged in, charged. He lays down, eyes heavy. Smokehead closes the curtains. Jack notices a drawer ajar, investigates. A trinket box, hidden beneath bras and pants, photos of a younger Jack and a woman. Love letters, yellowing cinema tickets, pressed flowers. The house door opens. He replaces everything, sits up, straightens the bed sheets. Jack's wife, Rachel, 30s, the woman from the photo, enters the bedroom. A passionless kiss. She picks up the phone. Any news? He shakes his head, a glum nod. She changes out of her work clothes. Jack watches her naked body, nothing. Not even a ripple of emotion. He leaves. Rachel organizes her laundry, stops at the door, senses something. Smokehead brushes past her, too.
Bathroom, day. Smokehead follows Jack inside, closes the door. Jack pushes Smokehead back into the shower. Leave me alone. Jack takes out a vial of pills, swallows 2, turns and watches. Smokehead's plume sputters, fizzes, like he's being doused. He jolts, twitches, contorts. Jack watches him suffer, closes the shower curtain.
Interior, living room, day. Jack lays on the sofa, headphones on, chooses music. Smokehead follows him, still twitching, stuttering. Sits across from Jack. Jack puts a pillow over his face. A few seconds of calm. Jack twitches. Can't get comfortable. A few more seconds of calm. Jack changes the song, peeks out from the pillow. Smokehead's plume still fizzes. The phone rings. Rachel rushes, picks it up. A quick exchange. Closed eyes, gritted teeth. Jack throws his headphones off and sits to attention. Rachel hangs up, composes herself, turns to Jack. He shakes his head. Reels, shudders, hands twitch. He knows what that phone call was. Smokehead's plume erupts. Smoke fills the room, shrouds Jack. No more fizzing.
Car, church, day. Jack, black suit on, shuffles handwritten index cards. On the passenger seat, an order of service for Jessica Palmer. He checks out the window. In the distance, mourners carry wreaths. Rachel greets them. He loosens his tie, reorders his cards. Smokehead opens the passenger door, gets in, taps the car's digital clock, nudges Jack. Jack fumbles in the glove compartment. Empty pill vial. His hands twitch erratically. He tries to stop them. In the distance, Rachel checks her watch, scans for Jack. Smokehead leans over, starts the car. Jack drives away.
Interior, bathroom, day. Jack teeters, bleary-eyed with tears. Suit jacket on the floor, tie ripped off. A homemade noose hangs from the ceiling. Smokehead sets a stool beneath it. Jack staggers, cries harder, breathes heavier. He takes the noose from Smokehead, hesitates. He puts the loop around Smokehead's neck, tries to pull it tight, but there's nothing for it to hold on to. He opens it, tries again, still no good. Smokehead takes the noose, places it over Jack's head, a perfect fit. He helps him onto the stool, beat. Jack notices something in the bin, loosens the loop, gets down. A pregnancy test, positive. Jack pushes Smokehead back, kicks the stool away, stunned at what could have been. He turns on the tap, splashes his face as...
Swimming pool day. A young girl, Grace, 10, zips through the pool. Jack, now in his 40s, grabs onto the pool's edge, armbands on. Grace flips, twists, pirouettes, beckons her dad to the middle of the pool. Smokehead walks the perimeter, looming. His smoke drifts across the pool. Jack clambers out, sits by the side of the pool. A disappointed Grace swims on. Jack pulls his swimming shorts over his love handles, sucks in his gut.
Interior, cinema, screen, day. Jack checks the calories on snacks, puts them to one side. Grace is absorbed in the movie. Smokehead sits in front of Jack. His plume parts, clears Jack's view. On screen, a loss, anguish. Jack looks away, fidgets, uncomfortable. Grace notices, holds Jack's twitching hand. A smile. Jack turns, hides a tear from his daughter.
Dining room day. A computer screen. Photos of young Jack and his mum. Jack minimizes the window as Grace enters, a huge acoustic guitar on her shoulder. She struggles with a chord. Jack gives her some pointers, dusts the guitar off, rubs a couple of fingerprints out. Content, Grace wanders off, strums. Back to the computer. On the screen, a blank page headed Chapter 6. Jack minimizes it. Back to the photo of his mum. Transcripts of text messages, emails. A smash.
Interior, living room, day. A dented guitar, broken guitar strap. Music videos on the TV. Grace holds her cheeks in disbelief, frozen. Jack rushes in, loses his breath at the sight of the guitar. He covers his eyes. It is too much. Smokehead enters, sits, surveys. Jack lashes out at Grace in anger. Grace recoils. Jack sees his frightened daughter, stops cold. Smokehead strums the guitar strings. Grace turns in his direction, confused. Who did that? She heard Smokehead. Jack pulls Grace away from Smokehead, holds her close. She cries. Smokehead's fumes creep around her legs. Jack panics, tries to clear the smoke. He picks up the guitar, plays a tune. It's fine! A flat smile from both of them. Jack leads Grace out, fans the smoke as he goes.
Bathroom, day, continuous. Rachel dries her tears, folds a tissue into pieces, flushes it. Jack bursts in, stops, embarrassed. He hesitates. Can't find the words. Rachel forces a smile, checks her makeup in the mirror, a solemn pat on his stomach as she leaves. Jack searches, finds pill vials, but they have Rachel's name on them. He slumps onto the toilet.
Interior bedroom, day. Jack puts on a jacket, scarf. He grabs one of the action figures he played with as a child.
Canal, night, a vein through the city, street lamps, empty benches, booze bottles. Jack wanders alone, teary. He stops at a bench, watches the water ripples, the moon's reflection. He takes out the action figure, moves its limbs, studies the parts. Across the canal, Smokehead. Jack throws the action figure into the water, defiant, turns away, walks on. Ahead of him now, Smokehead. He turns the opposite direction, Smokehead. Jack clenches his fists, runs at Smokehead. They grapple. Jack hits Smokehead repeatedly, desperate, frantic. Smokehead grabs Jack's arms, a stalemate. The pair wrestle, struggle, then splash. They both fall into the water. Water ripples. Water ripples. A hand grabs the edge of the canal, then another. Smokehead pulls himself out, his plume reduced to smoky embers. He straightens his tie, organizes his suit, sits on the bench. The water ripples stop.
Canal, day. The next day. Police tape, vans, polystyrene sheets. Smokehead waits on the same bench. Meagre wisps still splutter from his collar. Across the canal, an elderly man shuffles by, followed by a different Smokehead in a dress. She stops, turns to our Smokehead. They stare at each other across the water. A black body bag is wheeled onto an ambulance. Our Smokehead sputters back to life, full plume again. Smoke surges from his collar. He stands, sets off, leaves the canal behind.
Living room, night, a knock at the door. A frantic Rachel answers, a police officer. Bad news. She sobs. Smokehead enters the house, walks through them.
Bedroom, night. Grace sits alone on the bed. The door opens. Smokehead at the threshold. Grace sits up, eager, hopeful. They share a moment. She knows. She sobs, covers her face. Smokehead sits next to her, takes out Jack's action figure from the canal, offers it. Grace takes it, studies Smokehead. Smokehead holds out his hand. Grace eventually accepts. She rests her head on his lap, tries to sleep. End.